we will be looking at question paper solving, question 3B, and this will be for maths 2. Okay, now very important thing, many of you are concerned about which are the topics which will be there for exam. Okay, so these are the 4 chapters, and we will be practicing. So let's begin with the first question. Now question number 3B. Here you will have to solve 2 questions, and each question will be of 3 marks. Okay, so these are 3 marks question. Let us look at the first one. It says opposite sides and opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. Okay, so we have to prove this. This question is on proof. Okay, and it's from the chapter quadrilaterals. So how do we begin with this one? We should always start with drawing a diagram, right? So here I have taken the diagram directly. Just check. So draw a diagram like this. This is a parallelogram ABCD. Okay, and we have to prove that opposite sides and opposite angles of this parallelogram, they are congruent. Okay, but when we say that it's a parallelogram, what do you know about a parallelogram? Very basic thing about a parallelogram is that opposite sides are always parallel. Okay, for any figure, for any quadrilateral which has both the pair of opposite sides parallel, that is called as a parallelogram. So you should remember this property, okay, because that is given here. When they say that it's a parallelogram, it means it is given that opposite sides are parallel. So the next step is to write given, to prove, and if in case there is any construction, we should mention that. Okay, so here the given thing is that ABCD is a parallelogram. Now students, notice that in the question it is not mentioned the name of the parallelogram. Okay, so whenever you're doing solving problems which are related to quadrilaterals, and especially the proof type of questions, you should always make a figure, label it nicely, and mention everything in detail in your solution. So here we start with writing out given, that is the quadrilateral, the parallelogram ABCD. It's a parallelogram, fine. And what does that mean? When we say it's a parallelogram, it means that the opposite sides are parallel. What are the opposite sides? So to see, just check. For AB, the opposite side is DC, and for AD, the opposite side is BC. Okay, now understand this again. When I am drawing those arrows, the meaning of those arrows is that those two sides are parallel. Okay, when we draw a segment like this, it means they are equal, it means they are congruent. But when we draw arrowheads like that, it means that those two lines are parallel. All right, so that was given. Now next thing, what we are supposed to prove. So we have to prove the opposite sides and the opposite angles are congruent. That means we have to prove 4 things. Okay, when I say opposite sides, there are 2 pairs, and the opposite angles, again there are 2 pairs. So just check, segment AD is congruent to BC and segment DC is congruent to segment AB. This is something we have to prove. And the opposite angles, that is angle D is opposite to angle B. So these two angles are equal, and the other two, the second pair also we have to prove. Okay, so this is what we are supposed to prove. And construction, it was not mentioned in the diagram to draw the diagonal AC, right? We have done it for a solution. So you should mention the construction that we are drawing diagonal AC. All right, now let us look at the solution. We mentioned the solution like this. And what will be our approach? How do we prove that the sides are congruent? We prove that by showing that these two triangles, they are congruent. Okay, and how do we prove that the triangles are congruent? By using SAS rule or SSS or ASA, or it can be RHS, right? In this case, we have only the sides are parallel. To prove the triangles are congruent, we need three equal parts, we need three congruent parts, but here we don't see anything equal or congruent, so we have to use these parallel sides. Okay, so in the solution we will mention that AB is parallel to DC. See, AB is parallel to DC. So because of that, what happens? There is a Z formation, and we know Z formation means it is alternate angles, right? So therefore, what can we say? Angle DCA is equal to angle CAB by which rule? That is by alternate angles, right? Because Z formation, that means alternate angles. So quickly I'll mention it over here. These two sides are parallel. From where we got that, it is given. Therefore the angle DCA is congruent to angle, just check, angle DCA is congruent to angle CAB. That's the reason is alternate angles. Same way, we will use the second part, that is AD is parallel to BC. So also you can just mention also AD is parallel to BC. This is again given. Therefore, what can we say? Just check. Which two sides are parallel now? AD is parallel to BC. So just check, if I join this line, it is again Z formation. So which is the angle? The angle is DAC and the other angle is CAB. These two angles are congruent to each other. So therefore we say that angle DAC is congruent to angle ACB. Again, we got this by alternate angles. And students, why are we doing this? Because we have to prove that these two triangles, they are congruent, and we can prove it by using any one of these, right? So far we have got two equations. This is equation 1, this is equation 2. Now let's check what can be done next. Yes, now straight away we can write out the name of two triangles. So which are the two triangles? One is triangle ADC and the other is triangle ACB. We have to prove these two triangles, they are congruent, right? And to prove that they are congruent, we need how many parts? We need three parts. And then we can say, yes, the triangle ADC is congruent to triangle ACB by whatever rule among these, correct? And which are the three parts? So the three parts here are, from equation 1 and 2, we will get these two parts, that is angle DCA is congruent to angle CAB and angle DAC is congruent to angle ACB. From where we got this? We got this from 1 and 2. We need to write reasons for each and every step. And the third part will be the common side. Now just look at the diagram carefully. This is triangle ADC and the other one is triangle ACB. Clearly you can see these two sides, they overlap, right? That is the common side. So we can say that AC is congruent to AC. How? By common side. That side is common to both the triangles, and therefore we have got three parts. Which are these three parts? The first is angle, second is angle, and third is side, correct? So in between those two angles there's the side. So which is the rule? The rule is ASA. Okay, so we mention the rule, that is ASA. We mention it over here. By which rule? By ASA rule. Okay, or we can mention by ASA test. Good so far. Next, we have to prove that those parts are equal. And now this is the very simplest part, the easiest part. Last thing is we have to say that the corresponding parts are congruent, right? So we will just write out, therefore what happens, segment AD, therefore segment AD is congruent to segment BC, right? So AD is congruent to BC, and segment DC is again congruent to segment AB. So how can we say these are congruent? By corresponding parts of congruent triangles, right? CPCT. And also we can say the same thing about the angles. Now just check, angle ADC is congruent to angle CBA, but we can't say the same thing for DAB. So we can prove this part later. Okay, similarly we can prove this part, and we say here angle ADC is congruent to angle CBA. How? This is congruous corresponding parts of, this is corresponding angles of congruent triangles, right? And this can be said to be corresponding sides of congruent triangles, CSCT, CACT. That's how we can prove the remaining parts. And also, or you can just mention similarly. Similarly, we can prove, no need to prove that, we can just state that similarly we can prove angle DAB is congruent to angle BCD. Okay, and hence prove. What have we proved? We have proved that opposite sides and opposite angles of a parallelogram, they are congruent. All right. So a quick recap of what we did. We started with a diagram, then write given to prove the construction. When you start with the solution, use the alternate angles test, because we are using that the sides are parallel. So when the sides are parallel, there is Z formation, which is alternate angles. We take two pairs, okay, and we use that to prove which rule? To prove the ASA rule, okay. We say that these two triangles are congruent. Once the triangles are congruent, we can use the corresponding parts of congruent triangles, and using that property we have proved this question. Okay, now remember students, these questions, they are of 3 marks. So if there are 3 marks, how many steps should be there minimum? There should be at least 6 to 8 steps, right? So just make sure that you write out each step neatly, and also when it is geometry, you need to write reason for each and every step. Okay, so make sure that you're writing. Let us look at next question. So here it says measures of angle ABCD are in the ratio 4 is to 5 is to 7 is to 8. Show that ABCD is a trapezium. Okay, now how can we show that it is a trapezium? First, let's discuss and then we will begin with the proof. Okay, so if I draw a trapezium, how would a trapezium look like? Something like this, right? A trapezium is a quadrilateral which has only one pair of opposite sides parallel. So if I name it, let's name it like this. This is A, B, C, D. And you can check that only one pair is, one side is parallel. Therefore, and how would we prove this? So first we need to find all the angles. We don't know the angles. We are given the ratio. So using this ratio, we will first find out the angles. Okay. How do we begin on this one? So we start with a common multiple, right? Because the ratio is given. So we start with writing out common multiple. Let the common multiple be x, and the ratios are like this: A is to B is to angle C is to angle D, which is equal to 4 is to 5 is to 7 is to 8. You can take any, you can take name of any. And what will be the next step? Once we say that there is a common multiple, therefore we can say angle A equals to 4x, angle B equals to 5x, angle C equals to 7x, and what about angle D? Angle D equals to 8x, right? So these are the respective angles. Then we use the property of a trapezium. What is the quadrilateral? And for any quadrilateral, sum of all angles is equal to 360 degree, right? So we just write it out like this over here. Sum of all angles of a quadrilateral is 360 degree. Therefore, what can we say? Therefore, angle A plus angle B plus angle C plus angle D, the sum is equals to 360 degrees. All right. And then we will just substitute the values and simplify to find the angles. Okay. We start with finding X first. So let's substitute. What is A? A is 4x plus B is 5x plus C is 7x plus D, that is 8x, equals to 360 degrees. And now we have to add all the terms. So adding all the terms, what do we get? This is 4 plus 5, 9, and 16 and 18. That would make it how much? The total would be 24x. Okay. So adding them up, we get here 24x, which is equal to 360. And we get rid of this 24 by dividing it on the other side, right? 24 here is in multiplication. In that side, it will become division. So x equals to 360 divided by 24. What do we get? X equals to 15. Okay, you can just use the table of 6 to cross out, and then again the table of 4 to cross out, and you would get x equals to 15. Okay, so that's how we get the value of x. Once you get x, what will be the next step? To write out all the angles. So just check angle A, that is equal to 4x. What is x? X is 15. So 4 times 15, that would be equal to how much? That would be 60 degrees. So we have got angle A is 60 degrees. What is angle B? Angle B is 5x. So B equals to 5x, that is equals to 5 times 15. What will be 5 times 15? That will be 75 degrees. Then what is angle C? Angle C is 7x. So 7x equals to 7 times x is 15 equals to how much? So multiply, we would get 105 degrees. Then angle D, which is equal to 8x. So D is 8x. Instead of x, we will write 15. 8 times 15 will be equal to 120 degrees. Okay, so far what we have done, we started with common multiple bx, we have got the value of x, and then we got all the angles. Now we have to prove, we have to show that it is a trapezium. We have to prove that it's a trapezium. How do we prove that it is a trapezium? We have to show that any one pair is parallel and the second pair is not parallel. So let's start with a pair which is parallel actually in the diagram. So look, if you look at the diagram, the two sides which are parallel, that's DC and AB, correct? So which two angles you will take here? We will take this C formation. Just check, this is C formation. That means if DC is parallel to AB, then we have to show that angle C and angle B, the sum of these two angles is 180. Because it is C formation, that is interior angles of, if there are the two lines are parallel, then the interior angles, the sum is 180 degree. Right? Okay, here I will tell you a small some properties. So just check, if we have to prove, if we have to prove that two lines are parallel, if we have to prove that two lines are parallel, then what should we prove? Prove the C formation, or prove the Z formation, or prove the F formation. What is C formation? Sum of two angles is 180 degree. Z formation, the Z formation, the angles should be equal, and F formation, again the angles are equal, corresponding pair, right? In this case, we don't see any Z or any F, but we see there is a C formation. So we are going to use interior angles. Are you able to follow why I have highlighted that part and why we are taking these two angles only, right? So we begin with saying, okay, yes, I can't erase that part. Okay, so just check. So what are we going to say? We say that we are going to add and check if the sum of these two angles is 180. If the sum of these two angles is 180, then we say those two sides are parallel. So we are adding angle C and angle B. So angle C plus angle B, which is equal to, C is 105 and angle B is 75. So 105 plus 75, what do you get? The sum of this is 180. Okay, therefore what can we say? Therefore DC is parallel to AB. How? By converse of alternate angles. Okay, by converse of alternate angles. If the alternate angles are equal, then we say that the sides, they are parallel. Okay, now we have proved that these two sides are parallel. What about the other two sides? So we have to show that the other two sides, they are not parallel. Okay, not just drawing the diagram is going to help, we have to prove it. Okay, so how do we prove it? We will use again C formation. So just check, if I consider these two sides, which two angles fall in that C? So just check, this should be angle D and the other should be this angle C, angle D and angle C. Just find what is the sum of these two angles. So what are we going to check? We are just checking if these two sum of these two angles will give us 180. So adding angle D and angle C, we are going to check if we get the sum is 180. Okay, so adding angle D and angle C, angle D plus angle C, what is that equal to? So D plus C, one is 105 and other is 120. Adding them, do we get 180? That would be 225 degrees, which is not equal to 180. Therefore we can say those two sides, they are not parallel. Which were those two sides? AD and BC. Therefore AD is not parallel to BC. Okay, and since only one pair of sides since only one pair of sides is parallel, therefore it is a trapezium. Therefore, it is a trapezium. I hope this is very clear, students. You just have to show that one pair is, the sum of one pair is 180, the sum of other pair is not 180. And since the sum of other pair is not 180, it is not parallel. Those two corresponding sides, they are not parallel. Only one pair is parallel. Therefore, it is a parallelogram. This is how you need to prove it. So once again, a quick recap on this question, how we started. We started with getting rid of that ratio thing. The ratio was given, so we have taken the common multiple x, and using that we got the angles ABCD in terms of x. Then we use this property, sum of all angles of a quadrilateral is 360. If using this rule, we have got the value of x. Once you get the value of x, you have to substitute it to get all the angles. Once we get all the angles, we have to prove that only one pair of sides is parallel. Okay, so take two angles, add them. If the sum is 180, then we say the corresponding sides, they are parallel. If we don't get the sum is 180, then those two sides are not parallel. Since we get only one pair, just look at this part carefully. Since we get that only one pair of sides is parallel, therefore this is a trapezium. A very nice question and easy question. It can be asked for 3 marks. Okay, students, so do practice this one. Let us look at next question. This question is from the chapter circle. Radius of a circle is 20 centimeter. Distance of a chord from the center of the circle is 12 centimeter. And we are asked to find the length of the chord. Okay. How do we begin on this one? You start always with a diagram. Correct. So how will the diagram look like? You start with drawing a circle. Okay. Just a minute. Yes. Let me get that circle. So yes, we start with drawing a circle, and the next thing, the radius here is 20 centimeters. So radius starting at the center like this is the radius. This is 20 centimeter. Distance of a chord from the center, the distance is given. So this part is given. Distance of the center from the chord, that is 12 centimeter. Okay, and let us draw a chord like this. So this is a chord. Okay, so center, let's say the center is O and P is any point. So OP is the radius, which is 20 centimeter. They have given the distance. Distance is, let's say this is M. So OM is the distance, okay, which is equal to 12 centimeters. Fine. And let us name this as R. All right. We are asked to find the length of chord. So here we start with writing out what is given. We are given that OP equals to 20 centimeters. We are given that OM is equals to 12 centimeters. What are we asked to find? We are asked to find the length of chord. That is, we have to find what is RP. Okay, and then the solution. How do we begin on this one, students? We clearly see that there is a right angle triangle. If we find the, if we use the Pythagoras theorem, then we can find what is MP, isn't it? I'm just going to highlight the triangle. So this is the triangle we are going to begin with. When they say distance, distance is always perpendicular. That's how we get that perpendicular sign there. So for the solution, we start with in triangle, which is the name of, what is the name of triangle? In triangle OMP. In triangle OMP, we are going to use Pythagoras theorem. So we have to mention where is the 90 degree. In triangle OMP, angle M is equal to 90 degree. Therefore, by Pythagoras theorem. Therefore, by Pythagoras theorem, what can we say? The hypotenuse square is equal to square sum of square of other two sides. What is the square hypotenuse here? Hypotenuse is the side which is opposite to 90 degree. So that will be OP square equals to OM square plus MP square. Okay. So yes. So there's a trick I just wanted to share with you all. Just check whenever we write name of any triangle. Let's say this is OMP, and when they say that angle M is 90 degrees, so just cross out that M. Whatever is left, that is the hypotenuse. Okay, if I cross out M, then hypotenuse is OP. This is the easiest way to, even if you're not drawing the diagram, how to identify if there, that is what how to identify the hypotenuse. You can simply cross out the letter which is 90 degree, whatever is left, that is the hypotenuse. So OP square equals to, and whatever is left will be the two sides over here like this. This is OM square and the other is MP square. Okay, so that was a small trick. And now you just substitute the values and solve for MP. Okay, so let's quickly do that. We are substituting the values. What is OP? OP is 20 square. OP is 20. What is OM? OM is 12. And what is MP? We don't know. We keep it as it is. Okay. Now 20 squared is 400. 12 squared is 144 plus mp square. We have to solve for mp, so get rid of this 144. It would move to that side, it will become subtraction, right? So that has to be 400 minus 144 equals to mp squared. Okay, so what will be 400 minus this thing? That will become 256. Yes, that is equal to mp squared. And then we can just find the square root, because we have to find mp, we have to get rid of that square. So what will be mp? That is equals to square root of 256. And what is square root of 256? Simply factor it, correct, using 4. So 4 times 6 is 24, 4 fours are 16, 4 ones are 4, 4 fours are just a minute, 4 ones are 4, and then we get 4 eights are, no, 4 6 are 24, right? And that would be 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, so 256 has 4 factors, 4 4 and 4. And now you can just group them, pair them, and it is written only once outside the root. So a root of 4 into 4 into 4 into 4, okay, I need to put multiplication sign, and that will be 4 times 4 outside the root. That has to be 16. That's how you get square root of a number. Better you buy hard squares till at least 25. Okay, so square root of 256, that is equals to 16. So here we have got mp equals to 16. Isn't that easy, students? Okay, and we want the complete length of the chord rp. How do we find the complete length of this chord? Yes, so let me just highlight this. MP equals to 16 centimeter. Put a box around this. And now we are going to use a property. What is the property? Perpendicular from the center, it bisects the chord, right? This is a property from the chapter circle. And let me write it out in red. We know, what do we know? We know that perpendicular from the center, yes, perpendicular from the center bisects the chord. What do you mean by bisect? What do you mean by bisect? Bisect means it will break the chord into two equal parts, and also it will be 90-degree. Okay, it bisects the chord. So perpendicular means 90-degree. If it is 90-degree, then these two sides are equal. So we know that these two chords, these two parts, they are equal. So here we will say, since it bisects the chord, therefore Rm equals to MP, or you can simply say that Rm will be twice of MP, isn't it? I mean Rp will be equals to twice of MP. Instead, I'll just write it out like this. Rm is equal to MP. And what are we supposed to find? We want what is the value of Rp. What is Rp? Rp will be Rm plus MP. So Rm plus MP, substitute the values. Both the sides are 16 and 16. So that has to be 16 plus 16, which is equals to 32 centimeters. So Rp equals to 32 centimeter. Okay, now we will just quickly take a look at this question. How we started with drawing this diagram. That was a circle, then a radius perpendicular from the center, or the distance is a perpendicular from the center, and this is the chord. We started with writing the given to find. When we start with the solution, we have to mention the name of triangle, state which angle is 90-degree, and then use Pythagoras theorem. Just substitute the values in the set and get the value of the remaining side. So we are finding the remaining side, and we know that perpendicular from the center, it bisects the chord. So if MP is 16, then RM is also 16, and sum of both these sides will give us RP, because we are supposed to find RP. So adding 16 and 16, we have got the side that is equals to 32 centimeters. Okay, so just check, three parts are there. The first part is writing out given to find solution, the diagram, that would give you 1 mark. Then using the Pythagoras theorem correctly and getting the value of MP, that is 1 mark. So this is how the mark distribution can be, right? Here you would get 1 mark, and then finding out substituting the values correctly and getting the values, that would be 1 mark. And writing out this writing out this property that perpendicular from center bisects the chord, correctly mentioning the reason with this last part, that would give you 1 mark. So that's how this question is broken into three parts. All right, let us look at next question. Now this question is from the topic coordinate geometry, a very easy question. Okay, a very easy question. Do practice this type of questions, because one question will be there on drawing the graph, right? So suppose if you are given a question like this, draw a graph of the equation x plus y equals to 5, how do you begin? We start with drawing out a table. Okay, a table where there will be x and y, correct? And how do we points we need? We need only 3 points. Fine. So like this, draw a table where there will be x and y like this. Okay, and we set random values of x and we get the value of y. So here we have x plus y equals to 5. Okay, keep y by itself, shift this x on the other side. What will happen? This plus x, that side it will become minus x. So y equals to 5 minus x. Now you substitute random values. Okay, let's say set x equals to 0. What will happen if you put x equals to 0? Let us label this as equation 1. Put x equals to 0. I'm sorry, I have written x like this. Just a minute. Let me change that quickly. Yes. So put x equals to 0. So what will happen? This is equation 1, and I have changed this signs of x. Just a minute. Okay, and yes, we start with put x equals to 0. So what will happen? Y equals to 5 minus 0. So what is y? Y equals to 5. That gives you the first value, 0 and 5, correct? You can also add one more column here, x comma y. So that will give you the point, correct? The point will be of the form 0 comma 5, right? So from here you get 0 comma 5. Okay, then let us set another value. Let's say put x equal to 1. What will happen if we put x equals to 1? That will be y equals to 5 minus 1, which is equal to 4. So we have got y equals to 4. We started with x equals to 1 and got y equals to 4. Okay, now next thing, what can be done? Let's put another value of x. So put x equals to, let's take 2 this time. So y will be equals to 5 minus 2, and that is equal to 3. Are you all able to follow what we are doing? We have brought y by itself. We are substituting random values of x and we are solving for y. Okay, and this gives us y equals to 3. So for x equals to 2, y equals to 3. For x equals to 2, y is equals to 3. 3 points are more than enough. Okay, we have got 3 points, and now let's plot them. So this is how you should label x and y axis. A horizontal line, that is x axis, clearly write it out that this is x axis. Okay, here it is just x. You should mention that this is x axis and this is y axis. Okay, you get marks for this. You may lose marks if you don't label the axis. All right, so be very sure. And then we are numbering it. So look at the numbers carefully, students. On the x-axis, on the right hand side, the numbers are positive. On the left hand side, the numbers are negative. So -1, -2, like that. Okay, and on the y-axis, above 0, all numbers are positive, and below 0, all numbers are negative. Okay, and also very important, when you are labeling the numbers, label it on the left hand side so that you can show this is -1, -2, like that. Okay, this is how you should label it. Now let us plot the points. The first point is 0 comma 5. So we start at x equals to 0 and move 5 steps up. This is the point, 0 comma 5. Okay, x is 0, y is 5. and you can just put it like this, 0 comma 5. That is the first point. What is second point? 1 comma 4. Here x is 1 and y is 4. So x is 1 and y is 4. So from 4 you can just check, start at 1 like this, and y is 4. Here you get this point. Okay, no need to draw these dotted lines, you can straight away plot. Correct. So start at x equals to 1 and move 4 steps up or 4 units up. So here is the point 1 comma 4, you label it 1 comma 4. And then the third point, that is 2 comma 3. X is 2, y is 3. So x is 2 and y is 3. This is the point. Correct. Again, no need to draw those dotted lines. Straight away begin at x equals to 2 and move 3 units up. This is the point. It is 2 comma 3. Okay. And what will be the next step? We join all the points. Correct. So joining all the points, that will give us the line. Okay. That is how you get the line. Draw the line and you need to put arrowheads. Correct. So here I am going to put arrowheads. Very important step, you need to put arrowheads like that. And on the line itself, at the top or at the bottom, you have to write the equation, which is x plus y equals to 5. So mention the equation of line on that graph itself. Okay, so this is how you should graph it. That completes the solution. Very important, remember students, you need to show the points, how you got that points, and then plot the points. At least take 3 points. If you wish to take 4 points, it's okay, that's completely fine. And joining the points will give you the line. The line should be you need to show arrowheads at the ends and write equation of that, write the equation on the line. Okay, as I have done over here. Okay, this completes the solution. So just check, this is for 3 marks. You need to draw that table, get 3 points, and the graph. So distribution would be 1.5 there, 1.5 on the graph, like that. All right, let us move to next question. Question number 5, again a question on coordinate geometry. Look at the question carefully. In the graph alongside line LM is parallel to the y-axis. What is the distance of line LM from y-axis? So look at the question once again. Here we are asked, what is the distance of line LM? So just check which is line LM. This is line LM. What is its distance from y-axis? What is its distance from y-axis? Like that. So how much is the distance from y-axis? How do you find that? Simply check what is the distance, right? What is the distance between these two lines? So it is 1, 2, 3. That is the distance, isn't it? So this is just graph reading. 3 questions for 1 marks each. Okay. So what is the distance? You need don't you need you're not like required to write the reason. No need to mention any reason here. You can just state the answer. Correct. So what is the distance? The distance here is 3 units. Okay, that is 3 units. Write the coordinates of the points P, Q, R. We have to write the coordinates of P, Q, R. And how do you find the coordinates? We start at P. Always start with the x coordinate first. So check where does this P hit the x-axis. Draw a straight line. This is 3 here. That means 3 is the x-axis, and draw a straight line towards the y-axis. That would hit at 2. So 3 comma 2, that is the coordinate of P. That is 3 comma 2. Fine. So we write 3 comma 2 here. Next, look at Q. This point Q is over here. Draw a straight line towards X. Always X first. So 3 comma, draw a straight line towards Y. It hits at -1. So Y is -1. Okay. So the coordinate of Q is 3 comma -1. Next, look for R. Where is R? R is this point over here. It is on the x-axis. So x is 3. It is on the x-axis. X is 3. And we know for any point on the x-axis, the y is always 0. So what are the coordinates of r? It is 3 comma 0. Next, we look at third part. What is the difference between the x coordinates of the points L and M? So for that, we need to write the coordinates of L and M. Let's write the coordinates of L and M. Okay. So where is L? Just check, students. This is L over here. What is the x coordinate? Straight line. Draw straight line towards the x axis. The coordinate, okay, let me erase out everything, just a minute, so that things look clear to you. Okay, so what is L? L is this point. Draw a straight line towards the x-axis. This is 3. So the x coordinate is 3. Draw a straight line towards the y-axis. Again, that is 3. That means the y coordinate is 3. We write 3 comma 3 over here. Okay, now look at the point M. Locate the point M. It's over here. Draw a straight line towards the x-axis. That is 3, and again draw a straight line towards the y-axis, that is -3. So the y coordinate is -3. We write it out like this, 3 comma -3. Okay, now look at the question. The question says, what is the difference? What is the difference between the x coordinates? What are the x coordinates, students? Just look at the x coordinates. These are the x coordinates. So difference between the x coordinates is equal to what? That is equals to 3 minus 3. We are subtracting the x coordinates. For this it is 3. For the second is also it is 3. We are just subtracting. And what would that equal to? That is equal to 0. All right. So this completes question 5. This is graph reading. A graph is given. You have to find the distance, or you may be asked to write coordinates of the points, correct? Or maybe you will be asked an application question like this, where you have to find the coordinates first and then subtract. All right. Okay, we will quickly do this problem and then stop. So for this one, this is a question on trigonometry. We need to draw a diagram first, right? And trigonometry is related to 90-degree triangles, right angle triangles. So we draw a triangle with right angle like that and label it. So let's say this is ABC. Okay, students. And then theta, there is a theta over here. So you have to draw a theta somewhere, maybe at angle A or angle C, wherever you want. So let me draw it over here. Angle A is, say, let's angle A is theta. Fine. And what are we given? So we are given that sine theta equals to 4 upon 5. Correct? But we know what is sine. It is like this. So, ka, toa. Correct? So means opposite upon hypotenuse. So 4 is opposite of theta, and yeah, that is O upon H, and H stands for hypotenuse. Correct? That means, and also for these type of questions, we have to use a common multiple actually. Okay, so we can say, if we use the diagram over here, we can say the opposite of theta. What is opposite of theta? That is BC. And what is the hypotenuse? That is AC. So what we have got? BC upon AC, that is equals to 4 upon 5. And we have to use some common multiple, let's say K. So here it will be, let BC equals to 4K and maybe AC equals to 5K. Since it is a ratio, there it can be multiples of 4 and 5. Okay, so that is the reason. So BC, what is BC? That is 4K. What is AC? AC is 5K. Correct? So far good. We have just used a common multiple K, and we have used the formula for sine. Sine is opposite upon hypotenuse. Now next thing, we are asked to find cos of theta. So cos of theta is ka, adjacent upon hypotenuse. But do we know what is the adjacent side? We don't know, right? How do we find this adjacent side? By using Pythagoras theorem. So we say in triangle ABC, angle B equals to 90 degree. Therefore, by which theorem? By Pythagoras theorem. By Pythagoras theorem, the hypotenuse square, as I said, ABC is the triangle. Cross out the angle which is 90 degree. Whatever is left is the hypotenuse. So AC square equals to AB and BC square. So AB square plus BC square. Now you just simplify and find the third side. Okay, I hope this is very clear. What we are doing, we are just substituting the values to find the third side. So here AC is 5k, 5k squared equals to AB, we don't know, we write it as it is. So AB squared plus BC, that is 4k. So 4k squared. And now simplify, students. So 5 squared is 25, right? That is 25k squared equals to AB squared, which is plus 4k squared, that will be square of 4 is 16 and k square as it is. All right, we shift this 16 to other side, so it will become 25k squared minus 16k squared, which is equals to AB squared. Subtracting, what do we get? 9k square, which is equals to AB square, right? And we have to get rid of these squares. So what is AB? AB is square root of 9k square, right? And what will be the square of that? Yes, students. So that would be square root of 9 is 3 and square root of k square will be k. So that's how we get AB. AB equals to 3k. Okay. And now we can easily find cos, correct? We can now find cos theta. What is cos theta? Cos theta is adjacent, ka, that is adjacent, AH. A is adjacent side and H is hypotenuse. So adjacent side of theta upon hypotenuse. Correct? What is adjacent side of theta? To this to this theta, the opposite side is BC. And what is the adjacent? The one which is left, that is the adjacent, right? So that is AB upon BC. Sorry, BC is not the one. Hypotenuse. What is the hypotenuse? That's AC, correct? So we write AC over here. What is AB? AB is 3K upon AC. What is AC? AC is 5K and the K's will get crossed out. What are we left with? 3 upon 5. So that's how we get cos theta, that is equal to 3 upon 5. Isn't that easy? Once again, let's take a quick recap on this question. How we started? We started with drawing a diagram, a right angle triangle, because this is a question on trigonometry. And then we have got the diagram. Then this ratio gives us the two sides, that is BC upon AC. Once you get these two sides, then we use a common multiple K, that gives us BC and AC. Next is to find this side, that is AB. Why are we finding that side? Because we need cos theta. Cos theta means the adjacent side. So using Pythagoras theorem, we find AB. Once we get AB, we substitute the values for cos theta, and that gives us the answer. Okay, so you see, Pythagoras theorem is really important and you need to do a lot of practice on that. So with that, I hope all the questions were really clear. Do practice lot of questions which have maybe 6 to 8 to 10 steps. Okay, that will be for 3-mark type of questions, and make sure you are solving all the solved examples from your text. Okay, with that, thank you everyone for joining, and see you in the next class.